You're watching Project 380 and this is Back to Basics. On this episode of Back to Basics, we've got Clifford, the big red NC, and he needs some front discs and pads. To do this, you're going to need a trolley jack and some axle stands, obviously your discs, pads, and possibly a slider kit, some brake cleaner and a rag, some Scotch-Brite, brake grease and slider grease, some form of piston pushback tool, a torque wrench, breaker bar and wheel sockets, a hammer with a Phillips hammer-through screwdriver, something to hold the caliper up, a smaller torque wrench, a quarter drive ratchet with a 12mm, a 3/8 ratchet or a 1/2" ratchet with a 12, 14 and 17mm socket, a thin-walled 17mm spanner, a sacrificial screwdriver, a lever bar and a wire brush, and possibly an impact driver. So to get started, the first thing we need to do is pop the bonnet. Then we need to take the cap off the reservoir, pop that on top upside down so that no debris falls in the reservoir. Doing this will ensure that no seals break when we push the pistons back. Make sure the handbrake is on, and then we want to break off the wheel nuts while the wheels are still on the floor. Now we want to raise up the front end of the car and safely put it on some axle stands. I like to put the axle stands for the NCs right on the subframe, just there. That's a nice strong place to put them. But with the axle stands in place, we can now remove the wheels. With the wheel off, we can see that this NC has got some wheel spacers, and they are held on with their own nuts. We need to undo these nuts, but the only problem with using a breaker bar is that it spins. So there's a couple of ways around this. The first would be to get a friend putting his foot on the brake pedal, which will obviously stop the disc spinning. So since I've got no friend here with me, that means there's no one to depress that brake pedal. The second would be to get an impact gun, but this is back to basics. But luckily the front discs are vented on the NC, so I'm going to get a sacrificial screwdriver. As you can see, this one's had a hard time. I'm going to put it in between the carrier and the caliper and slot it into one of those grooves in the vents, which will stop the disc spinning, which means I can use a socket and a breaker bar to remove the hub spacers. With all the spacer nuts off, we should just be able to remove this spacer, but a lot of the times people don't grease their spacers and they could be quite seized. Nope, I was lucky. We want to keep that sacrificial screwdriver in there just for now. As on the NC, you can see here and here, we have some disc retaining screws. And obviously they need to twist out, and if the disc is spinning, they won't be able to twist. You probably won't be able to undo these retaining screws with a normal screwdriver, as they do like to seize. So I've got myself a hammer-through screwdriver, and if you put that in the retaining screw with a little bit of anti-clockwise pressure and hit it with a hammer, I can't lie, they were some of the worst disc retaining screws I've done in a while. They were very corroded in. I actually ended up using an impact driver, and it's taken me about an hour to do both sides. But now with the retaining screws out, we can remove that sacrificial screwdriver and we can carry on. Now the next couple of steps you can do many ways. You can either remove the caliper and then push the caliper back, or you could do it the old school way and push the caliper back while it's still on the car. The way the books will tell you to do it is to remove the caliper, undo the bleed nipple slightly and push the caliper back, allowing the brake fluid to flow out of the bleed nipple, or remove the caliper and push it back with a pushback tool. But I'm going to show you how we do it in the real world. I fit brakes for a living, and I do this maybe 8 to 10 times a day. And that is to first turn the steering so the caliper is outwards like this, and then you'll see this hole in the caliper here. You should be able to see the brake disc right there. I'm going to get a lever bar in here, lever against the brake disc, pulling the caliper this way and pushing the piston back. Now this hasn't worked quite right. I know the piston is all the way back, as the inside brake pad is all the way back. And now usually the caliper you'll be able to grab and push backwards and forwards, but I think we've got a stuck slider. Now I'd only use this method with the lever bar inside the caliper if I was definitely changing both the discs and the pads, as when you're in there with a lever bar you can damage the brake pads and score the disc, but obviously because we're changing them it doesn't really matter. But now with pushing that piston back with the old school method, we can now start removing the caliper by removing the slider bolt here and one underneath. So you're going to need a 14mm socket on the bolt here and a thin 17mm spanner here. Now we can remove the caliper and hang that safely out of the way. With the caliper safely out of the way, we're going to ignore the fact that it's leaking for now. We now want to concentrate on the carrier. Before you remove the carrier, you really want to make sure the sliders are moving correctly. And I know these ones aren't, these are seized. So I'm going to put a 17mm spanner on the slider and try and work it backwards and forwards, trying to free that slider off. I know these are really seized, so I'm going to have to put the carrier in the vise. But to remove the carrier, there's one bolt up the top here and another one just below. They are both a 17mm. When the last bolt is almost ready to come out, just make sure you got hold of the carrier and the brake disc, just in case they fall. Then you can remove the carrier and remove the disc. With the braking assembly out of the way, we're left with just a bare hub. I like to come along with a small wire brush and clean up the hub face. Just get rid of any loose debris, make sure the surface is nice and clean, and especially around the hub centre, as this is mainly where things seize on. With this nice and clean, I'm going to grab some copper slip, only a small amount. I like the finger painting method. You really only want a thin layer on the hub surface, but concentrate mainly on this centre. When I say thin layer, I really do mean thin. You could barely see any on the hub face, but you can see some on the raised centre. So now we're ready for our brake disc. Most new brake discs come with a slight oily layer to it. This is to prevent rusting while in storage, and we need to remove that before we put them on the car. So we're going to spray it with some brake cleaner and wipe that off with a rag. And the same on the other side. It's only the braking surface you need to clean. You don't need to clean the hub mating surface or the wheel mating surface. But now this is ready for the car. When you put the brake disc on, make sure you're lining up the retaining screw holes with the threaded holes in the hub, and then the disc retaining screws can go on. Some people say use Loctite with these. I beg to differ. I just apply a very small bit of copper grease. These really don't need to be that tight, so no need to lock off the disc. Just give it a good nip by hand. Because I'm having issues with the carrier, I've put it in the vise, and the first thing I want to do is remove the pads from the carrier. Usually these should just push out, but I've got a feeling one of these are seized in the carrier. Well, I was quite lucky, but they are pretty corroded and definitely didn't move freely in the carrier. So now onto these stuck sliders. These should push in and out of the carrier freely, but as you can see, these aren't moving. So I'm going to work them backwards and forwards with a 17mm spanner. I've got a bit of movement in that one, but none in this one. So I'm going to give it a few taps with a hammer and try again. So we've got a bit of movement in this one, but still nothing in this one. I'm going to peel back the rubber boot I don't know whether you can see that, but that is heavily corroded. Squirt a bit of WD-40 in there and leave that to soak for a while. While this one's soaking, I can remove this one and start cleaning it up. What I'm doing is slowly working it backwards and forwards while putting a little bit of pressure on the slider to pull it out. To try and help us, I'm going to carefully pull this rubber boot off and spray a little bit of WD in there. Now with that boot pulled back, we know we're not going to split the boot. So this is the part that slides in the carrier, and as you can see, it's completely dried out and started to corrode, which meant it wasn't sliding in and out properly. So we need to clean up the slider pin and the hole in the carrier where the slider pin goes into. To clean up the slider pin, I'm going to remove that rubber boot. Be very careful with this, make sure you don't rip it. And now we can see just how corroded that slider pin was. We need to clean this up, get rid of all the rust, the debris, and make sure it's nice and smooth so this can slide in and out. And to do that, I'm just going to get a bit of Scotch-Brite and go at it for a little while. After a little while, it should look something like this. So then we can put that rubber boot back on, and that slides in this little groove on the slider pin here. Push that rubber boot back, and then we can apply some Calliper slider grease. Just like that, and now it's ready to go back into the carrier. Let's see how this slider's getting on. I've got a feeling this is the slider with a little rubber bit on the end, and I think that rubber bit has completely perished, swollen up, along with the corrosion causing this slider to seize. But we'll see whether the WD-40's done anything. That would be a no. I'll soak it with a bit more WD-40 and leave it overnight. Back at it again the next morning, and I did manage to get it unseized. However, this is definitely meant to have a little bit of rubber on the end. That has perished and gone, and as you can see, this is not sliding too well at all. So I'm going to put a pick in there and try and dig out what I can. I think I can feel the rubber stuck in there somewhere. Yep, that is completely perished, and it was definitely stuck. So now I'm going to dig out any loose corrosion, and before we put some new sliders in, we definitely need that a little bit cleaner. And to help with that, I've got a split pin with a bit of Scotch-Brite in it attached to a drill. And then flush it out with a bit of brake cleaner. I know you probably can't see in there, but that is a lot cleaner than the one I haven't cleaned. With these all clean, it's now time to put the sliders back in. This bottom slider I know is probably usable again, but the other slider, because it's not got that rubber boot on it, and it's actually missing the end, I know this slider needs to be replaced. So I've purchased a brake slider kit from APEC that has 2 brand new sliders, 2 new rubber boots, and the rubber for the other slider, and 2 new caliper to carrier bolts. So I'm first going to get the slider without the rubber on it and not install the rubber boot just yet. Apply some slider grease to it and work it in and out the carrier. Working that grease around and make sure it's free sliding. You may need to put a little bit more grease on. Just keep applying a little bit of grease until it feels nice and smooth. That's working pretty good now. You can then remove it again and wipe off any excess that may have overflowed. Install the new rubber dust boot on the slider. And install the slider back into the carrier. Securing that dust boot onto the carrier and clean up any excess grease. Now just the other one to do. So the other slider has a little rubber boot that goes inside the carrier. All you need to do is simply push this over the end of the slider. And it sits like that. The same again for this side, grease it up and install it just the same as the other side. With both sliders now moving freely like they should, it's now time to turn this round in the vise and clean up the brake sliders. If your new set of pads don't come with new pad sliders, we're first going to take a small wire brush and give them a good clean up until all the corrosion and dirt are off. We're then going to carefully remove that slider shim and clean any corrosion from the carrier. and then replace the slider shim back on the carrier. And then using a bit of brake specific grease, apply that to the slider shim. You don't need a huge amount. Then I'm going to smear that around with my little finger. As you can see, not a huge amount there. Now just the other 3 to go. With all of this clean, it's pretty much ready for the car. But what I like to do before installing it is test the pad in the carrier first. It should be slightly firm but movable. You can then take that pad back out, install the backing plate, apply a little bit of grease if required, and put the pad back in the carrier. The carrier, all cleaned and serviced with new sliders and new pads, is now ready for the car. Then we could put the carrier assembly onto the disc and hub and reinstall the bolts. Give them a light nip and torque them down to 65 Newton meters. It's at this stage where we can pinch those pads together, which will allow the caliper to slide on top. So now the brake assembly is ready for the caliper, but we want to double check that piston is all the way back, and you could do that a few ways. We could use a pneumatic pushback tool or a manual tool. The proper book way of doing it is to undo the bleed nipple, and this should allow you to push the caliper back with 2 thumbs. In a pinch you could use a G-clamp, slot it in the piston and wind it in, or use a set of water pump pliers to push that piston back. But in some editing miracle, I've installed a brand new brake caliper. So now it can be reinstalled onto the carrier. You simply slide it on, being careful of the brake pads. You may have to push the sliders in a little bit. Some new calipers or new sliders come with new bolts, which sometimes are a different size. These need to be torqued down to 37 Newton meters. Again, we'll probably have to use our 17 thin wall spanner just to hold that slider in place. And pump the brake pedal a few times. You should be able to pump it up and you'll feel the pedal go quite hard. Hold your foot down and make sure it doesn't sink. That feels like a good brake pedal. And then check the fluid level. It needs to be between the minimum and maximum, ideally closer to the maximum, but you'll have to check this again once the car is on the floor, as only the front is up at the minute and it's making the level a little different. But for now, that cap can go back on. With everything installed, pumped up and feeling good, it's time to get the wheel spacer back on the car. Now this wheel spacer is a little bit grimy on the back, so I'm just going to run it on a bit of Scotch-Brite. I wouldn't use anything harsher in case it damages it. Once you're satisfied that's clean and flat, I'm going to use just a smidge of brake grease. As you can see, not a lot, and just smear that round. You really don't need or want a lot of grease on this. That's just going to stop it seizing to the brake disc and the hub, but then that can be reinstalled along with the spacer nuts. Now these need to be torqued down to 108 Newton meters, but obviously if we try to do that, the disc is going to spin. So out comes our sacrificial screwdriver in the same place as earlier, and now we can torque the nuts down. Then we can remove our sacrificial screwdriver and reinstall the wheels. Now we can remove that axle stand and lower the car to the floor and torque the wheels to 108 Newton meters. With the car back on the floor, we just want to recheck our fluid level and make sure that's near the maximum. So that is how to install discs and pads onto the front of an NC. If you learned anything from this video, leave it in the comments down below. As per usual, like, comment, share and subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.